sitting. But this would be the trunk end of the herd, I guess. The tail end still following behind.
Dixon, this is stop and go here on Southwood Road.
See the young one's keener to get down to the water. It's thirsty work being an elephant. Eating so much food, so many hours of the day. Well guys, it looks like the ellies are actually popping out now. I'll just give you a bit of a view there. Always nice to see them as they arrive. Imagine if you've been feeding the whole night and you're a little bit thirsty. It must be a great feeling arriving down at the waterhole. Beautiful view. It's like sort of they're bigger and biggest. It's actually quite a cool view of them. Lovely. Well, they are drinking, and I do believe the rest of the herd will join them as well, so there should be more ellies coming around. I think what we're going to do is we're just going to go around. I want to try and get us lower down, close to water level, just for a different view. We've got beautiful light reflecting onto them as well. They're sort of feeding on the other side, the western side of the waterhole. So we're going to reposition, find a great view. In the meantime, I believe there's something else on cue. Enjoy it. We'll see you back here just now. Well, folks, bingo. We found the boy, and he's come out of broken cover. It took a little bit of going along this riverbed many times, and we found him. So he was in the little thicket when those elephants were around, and now he's come out. He's much more comfortable. He was just sort of laying low. As I said, elephants are not threatened by a leopard, but what they will be, it's just a predator. It's that smell of a predator, and they're incredibly keen to make sure they look after their babies from any sort of danger. Look at that face. That is one striking looking cat. And he's sort of giving the inclination, or the sort of posturing and the alertness and the acuteness of his senses that are sort of all quite apparent at the moment to give him the look that he's looking at hunting. He's looking for any opportunity that presents itself, I suppose that's the easiest way to say that. And I'm just putting all those senses together. He's relaxed, but he's awake, and excuse me, he has only eaten, he probably finished that kudu. Here we go. Let's just see him. Oh, just come a little bit closer, my friend. Oh, that's just fantastic. It really does go to show you, folks, that these animals are just so conditioned and relaxed with us. I mean, he didn't move away from us, he moved closer to us just then. And he's just lying in the shade here, looking right at camera now. What a cat. Any little thing that tickles his fancy, he will start to follow up on. And you can just see the way that he's looking around. And if VM just goes down to the tip of his tail, there's a little flick in that tail when he's lying down too. Oh wow, that is so special in that light. So we've just got another vehicle here with us. just going to reverse out of the way. Literally just reversing at the moment. I've never done a leopard track in reverse. I'm just going to let him move forward now because he needs a bit of space. It's getting a bit tight here for us. So I'm just saying to one of the guides, asked me if he wanted to get out of the way. He's right behind us. I do have to turn around at some point, but it might be easier just to reverse. Just to be real, yeah, we're just reversing. He's just laid down directly behind us, folks. We're going to have to just shoot backwards. It's just a little tricky to turn around and renegotiate. I would not want to get stuck at the moment on this beautiful cat, so it's probably a good thing that we just shoot backwards. So you can see him. So folks, you can see this beautiful behaviour of using this using these drainage lines to walk down and then popping up out of these drainage lines, and he's just going to lie down there. I'm just going to move forward a little bit. You go, mate, you go, absolutely. Yeah, it's no problem, mate. So we'll just let that other vehicle go ahead because he was the first vehicle on location, and it's really important that we have manners, and he was very, very kind to us just then to let us reverse back. He's just gone up into a tree here, and we'll just see how far he gets there, but if we can see him from here. Can you see him, Vam? Yeah? Just. Just moving up to let another vehicle in, folks. No worries, buddy. Okay, folks, we might just hop over to Pete while we sort ourselves out here, and once you go and see Pete, we'll come back to you just now. All right, we'll see you now. Welcome back to the Ellies. Fantastic having that leopard as well. Q, as we know, is a big favourite and a beautiful male, but also good to know that we might have him for this afternoon as well. Looks like he's going to take it easy in the tree, and we just came around to get a better view of those few Ellies earlier. As I said, there was a herd in its way, and this is the kind of view you really hope for when you think of seeing elephant drink.
Whole herd spread out, all of them drinking. You can actually hear it. I'm going to be quiet for a few seconds so that you can just listen to them drinking, all that slurping and drinking. Happy elephants, and a beautiful setting here at Buffelshoek Dam. Just quietly sneak out on the side of the car here and get a very low angle view of them. Brilliant. More elephants arriving. How many we got now? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. About 18 or 20 so far. More of them arriving. Absolutely brilliant. Young ones, medium ones, large ones, small ones. There's a large female arriving there. This is a stunning herd. It's the same herd that we sat with yesterday afternoon as well. Absolutely beautiful. The great thing with waterholes is so much happens, and as we said earlier, if you arrive 10 seconds earlier or later, sometimes you can find it or miss it. And good this morning because we've got gorilla tracks, the female leopard tracks in this area as well. We've been sort of sticking around looking for her, and in that process, not only did we see those bull elephants earlier, but these ones now as well. There was one buffalo briefly. I'm still sort of hoping that while we're sitting here looking at these ellies, partly why I'm sort of looking around quite a bit, that gorilla might pop up. Very possible. Hello Sven. Good question. Nice to be talking about ellies since we've got so many of them, and you also saw ellies on foot with Stefan earlier. Always nice to see elephants on foot. Sven, you're just wondering, and I'm glad you could join us for that drive because it was brilliant. The drive where we had that young elephant playing with us, that we, sort of my little highlight yesterday in the fireside chat as well. It really was a very special interaction with him. And you're just wondering if that elephant would or could become a problem when he grows up because he was charging us. In this case, Sven, actually quite the contrary. he was interacting with us. He was more playing with us. I mean, he was coming up to have a look at the vehicle. He did that little sort of hi-ho silver on his back legs, which was awesome. And then the whole charging and the fact that he charged back at us. So first he ran away because he suddenly realized he's on his own. But then he also turned around realizing that he's actually not afraid of us. And that was a great moment for me to, not only was it fun to see, but also just in terms of the behavior. So he is more than likely to become a very interesting elephant. What I mean with that is as you get to know bull elephants over time, you eventually realize that, like humans, elephants have also got slightly different personalities. What a view here, stunning. And some elephants are just more curious and more interactive than others, extroverts, introverts kind of thing. And I think that young Ellie has got the potential to become a really interesting bull elephant. Do keep in mind that bulls, as they get older, they roam far and wide. So he would often be away from this area. He would also be sometimes back in the area. So he's the kind of Ellie that I would love to say, well, let's follow his life. Let's make sure we see him 2-3 times a day, and we follow him for the next 25 years and see what he gets up to, because you would sort of forge a great relationship or a great understanding with the Ellie like that. Well, that's a perfect question at the perfect time, Anna-Marie. That little Ellie, well, there's two small ones there. The one on the right-hand side, sort of backing away now on the left, slightly older than the other one. I would put him probably at about 5 months, other one maybe 4 months, 6 months, 5 months, something in that region. I don't think much older than 6 months for the bigger one even, so I'd say about 5 months maybe for the smaller one, maybe a bit less even. Youngsters, a little bit of luck, we might see them still playing as well. Young elephants love to be boisterous around the waterhole. And I just have to sort of smile again at how lucky we are to be standing around doing this. I mean, this is just such a perfect setting. I just jumped out just to get 1 or 2 low-angle pictures of them. And this is a waterhole that I have many, many great memories, and one that keeps popping up for me this morning, and I want to share it now, is, well, we've stopped here often for sundowners or for coffee breaks. It's such a lovely place just to stop for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, stretch your legs, drink a coffee in the morning, a little sundowner in the evening. And we had this great sighting here once with ellies. And I remember Leishan, who's now my wife, was on the vehicle. I don't think she was directing that, she was actually camera, and we were watching these ellies, and the next minute, we sort of almost like Brian and I had yesterday, we were watching the one thing and then something happened behind us, and the next minute Karula came walking past, and some of my most beautiful pictures I ever took of Karula was on that day. So I'm sort of just thinking back to that all the time, so I just sort of want to share that with you, because we could be standing here, and while there's a herd of elephant there, Karula could come and drink water suddenly, and literally just be that sort of at peace, if you want, with everything going on. So it's just a memory that kept popping up. I wanted to share that with you. And what a place to be. Whoa, guys, look at this. Marianne, you were asking if the one facing away is the dad. All the big elephants we could see in that herd were all females. They're just some couple of big females in that group. But this one certainly is a dad of someone somewhere. This is a big bull. And this explains 2 things to me. One is why that younger bull that we saw earlier, the guy with the one tusk, that was in musth yesterday, probably still is in musth, but his behavior was very suppressed this morning. The penile dribbling had stopped. The secretions on the temporal glands had stopped. And I was wondering if maybe there was a bigger guy around, and it certainly is the case. This guy would certainly have had that influence on the other male. He's much bigger. and therefore, even though both of them are in musth, this one would be considered the dominant male. This is quite a big ellie. This is the same one we saw. Sorry, my days really do blur into each other. 2 days ago, Brian, can you remember he was walking up the road towards us? Yeah, this is the same guy. Just looking at the tusks, I didn't recognize him specifically that day. I didn't make a note of his notches, but just looking at the tusks, and I remember especially the build of him was the same as this. So I'm sure it's the same bull. He's not particularly bulky, but he's very, very tall, really tall shoulders, nice big head. Now he's in his sort of around his mid-30s now, sort of, I'd say 33 to 37, somewhere in that range. So in sort of physically or peak condition. Now they're all coming almost as if to come have a look at him. Stunning. Look at them all listening. Suddenly you can hear that low rumble, communication going on. I just look at the scale difference as well. I often mention that the bulls are bigger, but a big part of it is looking at the size of the head. Just look at his head, the actual physical bulk or massiveness, I want to say. He's a very impressive looking elephant, and rightly so. That's why the big bulls in musth, are searched for by the females, or vice versa. They search for the females. You want to get the biggest guys passing on the genetics, the healthiest guys, the strongest ones. Compare that for size, that bull to the little ones. You can see them, they're all very aware of her as well, of him. There's a definite awareness of the presence of the big bull. Glynis, this is the perfect time to answer that question for you. You were just wondering, how do you tell the sex of an elephant by the shape of his head? Well, in this case, you could tell it just from the bulk of it. As I said, if you compare the size of his head, now if we go, this is a big male, and then you look just to the left of him, the sort of big elephant facing towards the left, then moving on again. Those are all females. And if you look at her, the far left hand one of those three now, she's got a very square head, and the bull is not quite turned sideways. When he turns his head, look at that. You see how round his head is? That's a perfect example. Male on the right hand side, female on the left. Square forehead on the female, round head on the male, but also just the size of it. Look at the female's head relatively to her body. That female actually, as for you that have been coming here for a long time, I remember that notch. Big left in the top left ear. We saw her years ago. She was a bit smaller then. But there you can see the smaller head, squarer head, rounder head, much larger head for the male. That was the perfect example to answer that question. Glynis, exactly the right question on the right time. Thank you. This is interesting. To just see if he puts his trunk in his mouth just now. Elephants do what's called phlegmon, which is something most mammals do. I just look at these two young ones just behind the bull. That's just such a cool size comparison. Look at that. But phlegmon is a process through which many mammals can test the reproductive state of a female. So you'll see it with zebra and kudu and impala now in the rutting season as well. They often smell the urine from the females, and you'll see them sort of lifting their lips up quite funny. With horses, people often think they're sort of laughing, sort of a movement they do, and then they can smell using an organ called a Jacobson's organ, which is like a little glandular organ almost, as an explanation. They can test the reproductive state. Is this female an estrus? Is she ready to mate? And that's what the bull was doing as well. So the fact that there's a big bull in full musth around, in fact 2 bulls, we had the other one tusk around as well, that does point to the fact that one of these females in this herd are in estrus. So who knows, maybe this afternoon, maybe just now even, we could even see the mating. It's not something you see often. There's a lot of sort of ritualistic build-up around it, and it doesn't just, sort of happen instantly. It can take a while for the female to decide which male it will be. But as I said, this is a big bull. He's in great condition, and he'd be a very, very suitable suitor. I think let's just go around a little bit. Let's see if we can get a better view again. Flying past. Let's go have a look at those ellies again. Maybe we can see some more interesting mating behavior. Maggie, hello, from Kansas. Remember, we saw one of your questions as well last night. Maggie, you're just wondering, when the female has the baby, when the cow has the calf, does she leave the herd, and if so, when does she come back? Yeah, it's not like impala, where the impala definitely leave the herd, because for the impala, or for the antelope, it's better to be away from the herd to have the baby, because the herd itself might attract the attention of a predator, so they can hide, have the baby sort of somewhere secret, so to speak. With ellies, firstly, it's not something you just see every day. Elephant birth is very, very rare to see, because they are quite sort of sensitive around it themselves, but she doesn't leave the herd as such. She might even have the baby with the herd literally around, or if not around her, very close by. Elephants are big enough that they can protect that baby from anything. So even if there were lions around, any of these big elephants could chase the lions away from that little calf. So they've got a very different scenario to most of the other herbivores when it comes to that. So they do actually stay with the group, and that little baby, quite soon after birth, would be welcomed into that herd as well. It's beautiful to see. I've seen it with very small calves, where the adults come up and they actually sniff the baby and they touch it, and it's very, very sensitive, very, very personal within the herd. Let's see what they're doing. They're just going down the road. Once again, seconds ago there were 20 plus elephants there. Now they're all gone, but they are walking down the road, so we should get another good look at them. And then I'd love to see this herd again this afternoon. It was a beautiful view when they were all drinking. Oh, here's the big guy. He's going to go right in front of us. Oh, he smells so strong. He's in full musth. And there he is again. It's amazing when they mate. You can see just the size difference here is incredible. I mean, that's a mature female enough that she could be an estrus, but she would be weighing maybe 2 tons. I'm just trying to gauge her size, whereas this guy would probably be 5 tons. So he'd be 2 times, maybe even as close to 3 times her weight. But elephants, when they do mate, the bull can actually support his own weight in his back legs. You might have seen images of elephant when they're standing in their back legs to reach for some high leaves or branches that high up in the trees. Oh, we saw it the other day with that little baby rearing up onto his back legs. So elephants can support themselves on their back legs, and for mating that is crucial. if the bull had to support his weight on the female, he could actually injure her in the process. So if they do mate, and we'd be very, very lucky if we could see that. It would be amazing. But if they do mate, he would actually stand on his back legs and support most of his weight himself. Tiny little calf there as well. Very, very intimate behavior that we're seeing at the moment. You can feel it amongst the herd as well. Those animals, the little baby even, you can feel they're all aware of this big bull in the group. Keeping in mind, elephants have got a matriarchal society. So there's another tree that's going down for some food. So the leader of this group would be an elephant cow, would be a female. This big bull that we're watching, he wouldn't actually be part of this group on a permanent basis. Like this little one is almost, I don't want to move the car now because it might come out around to us. But it would be lovely to see this little guy on the right. He's just there. If he comes out, it'll be awesome. Look at the size difference there. Catherine, you might actually hear the sound you're talking about. You were just wondering at what age do they start trumpeting or making the trumpet sound? Catherine, that's actually quite young. I mean, I can't give an exact answer to that. I don't know if it's 1 week or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, but if I had to guess, I would say within the first, not guess, but I mean I've seen them at very young ages make a basic trumpet. So from a very, very young age, weeks old, they can trumpet. They obviously learn how to manipulate that sound better, how to manipulate their trunk better. The first few weeks and months of birth, the trunk is still relatively uncoordinated. They have to figure things out still. Same as any other young animal, you have to learn how to balance better, how to be stronger, how to use your senses more and better, how to make sounds better. Same as we learn speech. I mean, I'm still learning how to speak. So it is a continuous process. Hey, here's the little guy. Beautiful. Texan, no updates that I know of. We've got Moontje and Love here at Buffelshoek Dam, just heading south towards Nyala Road. Makulu Madod and Manigi Mafazis. And I think that Ingwe is Lalapanzi and Sina. Oh, a lead check there. I was just texting on the radio. He's just, as I was explaining earlier, he's just stopped for a little coffee break with his guests. And they're getting moving again, so he was just checking what's where, what's been seen. This bull is listening suddenly. Gave us a little sort of mild head shake. He's also testing the breeze. He's actually smelling the air. You can feel him or see him sort of feeling his way around things he wants to smell. But he is in full musth. I'm just looking at his sides. You see that sort of white area there. Even his legs, you can see that he's not, it's not a sort of a short spell. He's probably been in musth already for a few weeks at least, if not longer. I'll just explain to you again the musth behavior. We spoke about it quite a bit yesterday. But elephant bulls, normally once a year, throughout any time of the year. There's no fixed season for it. In other words, it's not like impala where the rutting season is now and the lambing season is in November, December. With elephant, they have the young throughout the year, which also obviously means that they mate any time of the year. So it just depends on the reproductive state of individual females and the musth condition, or the dominant state, or the hormonal state, if you want, of the males. And this guy is in that condition now, called musth. M-U-S-T-H, if I remember the spelling correctly. And that basically refers to the condition that he's in, where the testosterone levels go up substantially, 6 times normal. Obviously making them a little bit more edgy sometimes, to say the least. But again, if you behave correctly around them, it's not normally a problem. But it does make them dominant within the male society, and it does make them attractive to females that might be in estrus. They're staying on the road, so I think we can stay with them a bit longer, see what they get up to. There you could hear a sound from a baby ellie, and that guy's only a couple of months old. That's the smaller one of the two that we spoke of earlier. And I know I said 6 months and 5 months, or 4 months and 5 months, and I think I'd be more inclined towards the latter of those two. I would say this guy maybe even as few as 3 months old. You can see he still fits just under mum, although she is a reasonably big cow. And that other one may be a month or so older. So perhaps even 3 months and 4 months, or close to that. Well, good morning, Sherry in Ohio. Just trying to think what time it is now, 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning. Thank you for joining us still for the game drive. It's been a good morning. Leopard, elephant. And Sherry, you're just wondering if elephant can hear using their feet as well. I guess sort of loosely, sort of in loose context, you could say yes. I mean, they obviously listen and hear with their ears. The feet is more feeling vibrations, which effectively is what hearing is as well. I mean, hearing is just the different little parts of our ears that feels the vibration in the air and with the sound waves, and that is translated to information. So I guess you could actually say that they can hear with their feet as well. They can certainly pick up vibrations with their feet, and there's been some interesting studies done on it, and Tosha is one of the places they've done it. Yeah, so it feels a bit odd to say so, but they could, in theory, hear with their feet. But put it this way, they can translate certain vibrations that they can feel, and they can feel it with their feet. That can be translated into information for them. You see, it's even funnier because, I said the other day, English is a funny language. Any language where your nose can run and your feet can smell. And now it seems your feet can hear as well, so, yeah. Actually, I think you know what I mean. So, yeah, I didn't actually think so before you asked the question, but when I really think about it logically, hearing is really just translating sound waves, or any waves for that matter, into information. So hearing does refer, generally speaking, to ears, but oh, look at this beautiful nyala. But they would certainly be able to feel information through their feet. Beautiful big nyala bull. He's just trotting off. There's lots of activity. The ellies are walking around. There's the bull walking through the back making noise, and that spooked the nyala a bit.